Hello, buddy. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is, of course, Monday, or I'm sorry, Friday, April the 24th, 2026. Hope everybody's had a good week thus far. Of course, we're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started here. Anyways, all right, yeah, did watch some of the cartoons I watched today. Included, of course, a couple of some stuff from Warner Brothers, of course. Odor of the Day, which was the last appearance of Wellington the dog. Only appeared in a couple of cartoons, Doggone the Cats and Odor of the Day. There's debate on whether or not it was basically promoted as a Pepe cartoon, Pepe Le Pew, but yet didn't necessarily have any of Pepe's usual antics involved. So it's debate as to whether or not it truly was Pepe. Also saw the Foghorn and Leghorn, another encounter between, of course, Foghorn, Barnyard Dog, and Henry Hawk. A little let's see. Saw a Donald Duck cartoon Soups on with featuring him and his nephews. Anyways, coming up on 2.5 minutes now. Yeah. And again, friendly reminder to everybody, of course, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking, sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment down or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. I'm going to actually go off camera here for a quick moment, so I'll be right back. But what I will do, put some music on to entertain you guys while I'll be right back. All right, I'm back now. So, anyways, so here's what's on top of the night. I do have one article I'm going to go over tonight from Bleeding Fool. Article from Chris Braley, I believe, in terms of so talking about when backers come last, another Kickstarter failure. So, guess there's another Kickstarter campaign that I guess kind of dropped the ball. So we're going to take a look at that. Then after that, of course, we'll get all caught up in all the latest in pro wrestling. Look back, of course, to last night's TNA Impact and Ring of Honor Club shows, as well as looking ahead to tonight's SmackDown and tomorrow night's Collision. And then, of course, we'll wrap things up with this day in each history. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Again, if you guys haven't already, you guys can help out by liking, sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With all that being said and done, let's get into this. So, crowdfunding runs on trust. By the way, when backers come last, another Kickstarter failure. Article by Chris Braley, published April 23rd, 2026, which of course was yesterday. So let's take a look at this. Crowdfunding runs on trust. It's the unspoken contract between creators and backers. Support us early, and you'll be rewarded first, and often best. That's why the ongoing situation surrounding Bad Ideas, Hank Howard, Pizza Detective Kickstarter campaign deserves a closer look, not as a pile-on, but as a cautionary tale for the entire comics crowdfunding space. A little over a year ago, 446 backers pledged $114,105 to fund the Kickstarter campaign. But now, at the heart of the frustration is something that simply shouldn't happen in retail crowdfunding. Retail customers getting product before backers. In early 2026, standard single issues like The Two Hollywoods, number 1 and 2, began appearing in comic shops as scheduled. Meanwhile, many Kickstarter backers, particularly those who pledged for premium tiers like the Ultra Deluxe hardcovers, were still waiting. Oh, wow. Wow. I can see where some of the anger and frustration would come from. I mean, you actually invest in the book, and when you invest your hard-earned money, you'd expect to be the first in line to get anything and everything, and yet, so I mean, that's almost like a slap in the face, basically. Not delayed by a few weeks, not even a few months. In many cases, delayed by over a year, with little or to no communication. That gap between retail availability and backer fulfillment cuts directly against one of the core expectations of crowdfunding. Backers aren't just customers, they're early supporters who take on risk. When they end up last in line, the model starts to break down. Right, because you're taking the risk for them so they can produce the book. You know, um, so you should be the priority. You know, as in gratitude that they would donate their hard-earned money to help you out. But the situation becomes bigger than just one campaign. With a breakdown of the traditional distribution model, lots of comic book creators and many publishers regularly use crowdfunding as a way to raise capital to produce their projects. But those campaigns very often don't meet their goals and are abandoned. When that happens, interested backers are expected to get a full refund, and many times the creator retools the campaign project and will try again. But there are some campaigns that do achieve their financing goals and yet are never fulfilled at all, including from names like Grant Morrison and Donny Cates, for example, which hasn't updated backers in over 3 years. Wow. That, wow. That's a 3. You haven't updated your backers in 3 years, telling them what's going on. That almost sounds like to me like a big middle finger. Oh boy. This is unfortunate. This is an unfortunate growing pattern of creators and publishers struggling or outright failing to meet their crowdfunding obligations. Well, yeah, because if it's like the old saying goes, burn me once, shame on you, burn me twice, shame on me, right? They're not as likely to take the risk if they got burned once. In some cases, campaigns are being accused of non-delivery, poor communication, and of backers being left in the dark for extended periods, even years. While each situation has its own nuances, the common thread is erosion of trust once communication stops and timelines slip without accountability. Other high-profile creators aren't immune from criticism in this space either. Rob Liefeld, the creator of Youngblood, for example, has been openly critical of traditional distribution channels, like comic shops, calling them unreliable in getting books to customers. But critics have pointed out that fulfillment issues and unfinished projects have been part of his own crowdfunding efforts, which has backers demanding refunds after waiting for 13 years on their 13 years. Holy moly. 13 years? That's like we're in 2026 now, so that'd be you donated money to this guy back in 2013 and he still hasn't followed through. Ouch. Ouch. Yikes. Let's see. Distribution problems are one thing, but failing to deliver or communicate with refunding supporters is bad form all around. No kidding. I mean, in a way, if you're not, if you just like ghost people and don't even give them back their money, I mean, that's almost that is a form of theft. That's stealing. You just took their money to invest, so to have them invest in your product, and then you don't deliver, you don't give them the money back. You basically stole their money. Delays happen. Most backers understand that. I've run multiple crowdfunding campaigns. I guess this is, of course, Chris talking. Myself, and it never goes to plan. I've regularly experienced delays over printing issues, logistic problems, rising costs, and so on. These are realities of publishing, and to their credit, that idea did cite a major distribution, roughly 200 roughly $200,000 in unspecific tariff-related costs tied to Canadian imports. That's not insignificant, and it's the kind of curveball that can derail even well-planned campaigns. But the issue isn't just the delay, it's the silence. Backers have reported long stretches approaching a year without meaningful updates through official Kickstarter channels. For a campaign of this scale, the absence creates a vacuum, and in crowdfunding, a vacuum gets filled quickly with frustration, speculation, and ultimately distrust. Some fulfillment did begin in early 2025, particularly for lower tier rewards. That matters and it should be acknowledged. But crowdfunding campaigns aren't judged on partial delivery, they're judged on whether they follow through on all promises. Yeah, I mean, it's good that partially they're at least following through, they're trying, but if you don't have the full results, and that's you're gonna get critiqued. No bones about it. As of April 2026, where we're at now, high tier rewards remain outstanding for many backers. Communication through Kickstarter has largely stalled. Retail initiatives, including upcoming releases like Slice of Life, continue moving forward. That last point is particularly difficult for backers to swallow. Watching new retail producers roll out, retail products roll out, sometimes through experimental programs like the Blind Pizza Box, quote unquote, while their pledged rewards remain in limbo, sends the wrong signal, regardless of the underlying reasons. Yeah, I mean, it's like you basically the backers decided to back you and give you that support, and then you're basically turning on the backers and just putting your hand back and flipping them the bird. That's just not the way you treat people. As I've said, this isn't just about one publisher or one project. Campaigns like Hank Howard, Pizza Detective, will shape how people feel about backing future projects, especially in comics, which is true. I mean, I said this before, the idea is, that kind of reminds me of the saying, fool me once, well, I said burn you, but the saying actually is fool me. So fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So people are not going to want to be duped twice if they can help it, you know. Where crowdfunding has become a vital alternative to traditional publishing. Well, yeah, I mean, if your mainstream guys are corrupt, and then now you got elements of crowdfunding that are becoming corrupt, where can you actually get your comics if you decide to back somebody, right? You know, and it kind of does put a stain, because for those who do fail, or those where they don't communicate, those who come up short, as they were kind of alluding to here earlier in the article here, it kind of does put a stain on the entire crowdfunding situation, because the people who are actually legitimately following through and being good about it, keeping up to date on communication, keeping up to date on product releases and all that. They now have to deal with the negative impact, negative reputation of other people. It's like, oh no, I don't want to back this guy because I got burned by this other guy, or I don't want to back this comic creator because I got backed by this other, or I got screwed over by this other comic creator. I mean, those who kind of screw people over become pariahs upon the scene. So when backers see repeated examples, whether it's delayed fulfillment, lack of updates, or in more extreme cases, projects that never fully materialize, creates a chilling effect. Supporters become more cautious, new campaigns face higher scrutiny, and the entire ecosystem takes a hit. Basically what I just said. Right? Even creators who consistently deliver feel that negative effect. Again, what I just said. It's funny. Even before I read all that, I had not read that. I didn't even scan it when I said that. So it's funny how just after I said it, it showed up in print, or I just read it off there. Great minds think alike, don't they? Hey there, Chris Braley. The situation isn't beyond repair. What backers are asking for isn't unreasonable. Clear, consistent updates, even when the news isn't good. Transparent timelines, even if they shift. Prioritization of backer fulfillment over continued retail expansion. Most importantly, they want acknowledgement, not just of delays, but of the frustration those delays have caused. Crowdfunding works when creators treat backers as partners, not just pre-order customers. Yeah, and I mean, that's a good point that he makes here, because to an extent, backers are kind of partners. They're the ones providing the money so you can get the work done and get the books out. They're providing you the money so you can go get the books printed, and cover the cost of the printing and all that. And then if you're going to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to them, that's not going to go. That's going to go over like a lead balloon, right? I think there's still time for a bad idea to course correct and rebuild goodwill. The books will eventually ship. The question is whether the trust will. Because in crowdfunding, trust is the real product. And once that slips too far behind schedule, it's much harder to deliver. All right, so made some good points there. That's just in dealing with people in general too. I mean, well, with that being said, I'm gonna need to step away from the computer for a moment. We'll be back, but what I am gonna do here, of course, is I'll put some music on to kind of entertain you guys while I'm gone. I'll be back in a All right. So now what we're going to do, of course, we're going to move on to the next segment of the show, which is the wrestling wrap up. Look back to last night's Impact and Honor Club shows. Look ahead to tonight's SmackDown and tomorrow night's Collision, and then we'll prepare to move on. Then after that, of course, we'll move on to the This Day Needs History segment. So, without any further ado, let's talk about what happened, of course, on last night's respective shows. First off, on Thursday Night Impact, last night's Thursday Night Impact, airing, of course, on AMC from the Upstate Medical University Arena in the On Center War Memorial in Syracuse, New York, with, of course, Tom Hannafan and Matthew Rainwell on commentary. Ryan Nemeth joining them, probably, I think, for the Nick Nemeth match. So the opening match saw Nick Nemeth defeat Bear Bronson of the System. Bear Bronson, of course, had Cedric Alexander, the Edwards, Alicia, Eddie Edwards, and Brian Myers in his corner. Dutch defeated Matt Hardy in 10 minutes 46 seconds. Elena Black defeated Katie Arquette in 2 minutes 30 seconds. And then Mike Santana successfully retained the TNA World title over Rich Swann in just under 20 minutes at 19:19. So, and I believe I didn't see the full report, but I did see that they did indicate that that Xia Brookside did comment on why she turned on Lei Ying Li on last night's show as well. I haven't watched any of the highlights, so I don't really know for certain. But with that being said, now moving on, of course, to the next set of the results. So Ring of Honor had its Honor Club show last night, coming from the WJCT studios in Jacksonville, Florida, with, of course, Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni on commentary on Ring of Honor Wrestling.com. Let's see, the opening match was a mixed 6-person tag match, in which the premier athletes of Arya Davari, Story Denali, and Tony Nese, Mark Sterling, in their corner. Defeated the team of Brandon Cutler, Angela Risk, and Terry Kidd. Mark Davis of the Don Callis family defeated Beef. Eminem TV of Johnny TV, Manster, and Mason Madden defeated and were involved in 6-man tag action. They defeated the team of Angel Fashion, Keegan Garland, and Main Man Oro. In a Pure Rules match, Diamante defeated Rachel Ellering in 5 minutes 34 seconds. In 8-man tag action, the Spanish Announce Project of Angelico and Serpentico teamed with the Colones, Eddie and Orlando Colon, to defeat the Frat House of Griff Garrison, Jack Jameson, Cole Carter, and Preston Vance. Billy Starks defeated Heian in just under 10 minutes in the singles match. And the main event saw a tornado tag team match. The Swirl of Blake Christian and Lee Johnson defeated Tommy Billington and Adam Priest. So of course that's all that went down on last night's last night's all that went down on last night's shows on Impact and Ring of Honor. So now let's go ahead and as soon as I can get to it, we'll look ahead to tonight's SmackDown as WWE is continuing to build towards its Backlash pay-per-view coming up in about let's see, 2 weeks from tomorrow. So and just over 2 weeks away from the Backlash pay-per-view, which is premium live. I guess they call them premium live events now, as kind of involving the aftermath, of course, of WrestleMania and all that. Hence the name Backlash. So on tonight's Friday Night SmackDown, airing on the USA Network from the Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. Oh, no matches have been announced yet, apparently. So we don't know what will be going down. But what we do know is that we'll be continuing the build for Backlash. So maybe we'll see some stuff involving the Women's Tag Championship. Rhea Ripley is liable to make an appearance on the show, probably being confronted by Jade Cargill seeking a rematch. Maybe we'll get the match between Julia and Tiffany Stratton, where Julia is defending the United States Championship. But with all that being said, we won't know until obviously after the fact because they didn't put anything up for the planning. So now, looking ahead to tomorrow night's AEW Collision, as of course they're building towards their next big event, Double or Nothing, coming up on Sunday, May the 24th. Tomorrow night's Collision, what they call Playoff Palooza, which I'm guessing is show kind of wedged into the NBA playoffs going on right now. There'll be from the let's see, Collision will take place in the Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Portland, Oregon. As the opening match is the World Trios titles match, as the conglomeration of Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong defend the AEW World Trios titles against Don Callis family of Andrade El Idolo, Lance Archer, and Hechicero. In women's tag team action, New Japan, CMLL women's champion, women's world champion Persephone teams with New Japan women's strong champion Alex Windsor to take on 2/3 of the Triangle of Madness, in this case Sky Blue, and AEW world champion Tekla. In 6-man tag action, this match was set up on this past Wednesday's Dynamite. Chris Jericho teams with the Hurt Syndicate of Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley, with, of course, MVP in their corner, to take on the Demand of Ricochet and the Gates of Agony of Bishop Gunn and Toa Leona. In 10-man tag action, you have the Rascals of Myron Reed, Desmond Xavier, and Zachary Wentz teaming with the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, to take on the Death Riders. Death Riders combination of Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, and the Dogs combination of Clark Connors and David Finlay. Rush makes his in-ring return as he takes on Adam Priest after having been out for a while. Chris Statlander is set to take on Becca, and Jack Perry defends the national title against Don Callis family member El Clone. So that's all we got for you on the wrestling wrap up. So now what we're going to do, of course, is we're going to move on to the next part of the show, which is we're going to start to wrap things up, maybe a little bit early tonight, as it is Friday. So we're going to move on to this day in each history. So with today being Friday, April the 24th, 2026, let's take a look back at this day in each history. History! So, let me see here. Let's see, 2002, 2001, and 2006. Alrighty then. So first off, I'm going to head back 25 years ago. On this date, 25 years ago, back in 2001. So I find it. On this day in 2001, 25 years ago today, the king of old school, Steve Corino, defeated Mike Rapata to become the new NWA World Heavyweight Champion. So on this date back in 2001, 25 years ago today, Steve Corino defeated Mike Rapata to become the new NWA World Champion. He went on to have the title for, I think, a while there, where had some legendary matches, including some against the late great Shinya Hashimoto, like from over in Japan, among others. So that's what went down there. So now, as we prepare to move on to the next piece of niche history here, of course, the NWA is still going strong this day under the leadership of Billy Corgan, of course. I believe Throwbilly Silas Mason is the current NWA World Heavyweight Champion. So, so now as we continue on to move on to the next part, moving ahead to the year 2002, which was, of course, 24 years ago today. On this date, 24 years ago today, in the year 2002, the 25th and final issue of Orion from DC Comics went on sale on this date back in 2002. Sold for $3.95 for 32 pages. Story was Children of the Pact, written and penciled by Walter Simonson, inked by Bob Vlachek, lettered by John E. Workman Jr., and colored by Tatiana Wood. So the 25th and final issue of Orion from DC Comics went on sale on this date back in 2002, 24 years ago today. And finally, moving ahead to the year 2006, on this date in the year 2006, the following shows ended their runs on broadcast. O'Grady completed its run on the N for Noggin. Noggin's O'Grady completed its run on the N. Let's see what O'Grady was about, of course. O'Grady is an American teen animated comedy television series created by Tom Snyder, Carl W. Adams, and Holly Schlesinger. For Noggin's teen programming block, The End. The show features the voices of H. John Benjamin, Melissa Barden, Galsky, Patricia O'Neill, and Holly Schlesinger, playing a group of 4 teenagers living in the town of O'Grady. In each episode, the characters experience a different supernatural phenomenon while also facing ordinary high school challenges. The show was animated at Snyder's Soup to Nuts studio. All right. And also completing its run on during that time as well. All right. Finishing its run on Jetix. The Jetix animation concepts show Get Ed completed its run on Jetix on this day in 2006, 20 years ago. Get Ed is an animated television series about a genetically engineered teenage delivery boy who fights industrial crime in Progress City. Show aired as part of the Jetix programming block of the United States cable television network to Disney until the channel closed in 2009. The series also used to run on ABC Family before the channel switched to a non-animated format. Reruns aired in 2009 on Toon Disney's successor, Disney XD. It was the second original show produced for the Jetix block and for the Jetix channels worldwide, where the show aired in 2005. All right, so there we go with that. That's all we got for you guys tonight. Hey there, Nat Sherry. Thanks for popping in. Oops. I fell asleep, but I made it. Yeah, pretty much at the very end of the show, you pretty much missed most of the content there, but you can always go back and rewatch it if you want. Alrighty then. So, as I said, we're wrapping things up here a little early tonight. So, of course, we will be back here Sunday, and I'll be joined by Sabrina from Devil Flyer Momentum, as we'll be continuing our look at comics that came out in August 1940. This Sunday we'll be focusing on books that went on sale from Novelty Press, most notably Target Volume 1, Number 9, and Blue Bolt Volume 1, Number 5. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show, and I will see you all on Sunday. Bye.